maybe bouncing around a little bit, but I think just like we saw in the girls' race, there's a lot of athletes that we talk about who a favorite might be on paper, but they don't run the race on paper. So these guys are coming out here, and like I said, at the high school level, you can just really line things up and take huge chunks off of your personal best, and there's few places better to do that as this kind of race. You're not going to get to race these guys that often. People coming in from other states, as I said, on the girls' side, state champions, record holders, and people that you really just want to beat, and that's just the biggest confidence boost. So don't be surprised, just like on the girls' side, to see this one go fast and to see multiple people out in front. I think that this is going to be a really hotly contested race. So the battle of the Jacks. It's Jack Bertram coming down from Pennsylvania, and Jack Bowen going to try to defend his home turf here. The Tennessee native, but Bertram headed to Notre Dame in the fall. He's got a 8:47 personal best. Kate, it wasn't that long ago, and just running under 9 minutes got you pinned up there, but he was only 8th at Arcadia this year with that time. I say only, but 8:47.76. He certainly has to come in as, if not the favorite, one of the favorites. He won the 1600, the 3200, the 4x8 at his 3A championships, twice under 9 minutes this year. He's run 4:07 in the mile. So it is just a huge, I would say, confidence boost to have those times under your belt, but you still have to do it on the day.
That's such a good point. And, you mentioned that only 8th at that Arcadia Invitational. I saw an interview with him where he said he was absolutely stoked about that performance because he understood what it meant. He even as a high schooler, could put that in context of the level of competition that was ahead of him and, of course, also following up behind him. So, as you mentioned, the Notre Dame commit certainly looking to get himself onto a top position tonight. That is Jack Bertram. Jack Bowen, the UNC commit from McCallie School, just outside of where we are tonight in Chattanooga, Tennessee. You better believe that he's got some support on site here. And again, such a fantastic opportunity for him to come out and, show his best in front of a relative home crowd. He's another solid sub 9 minute guy, having run that personal best of 8:55.09 to take second at his regional meet in early May. And he's one of these guys that, like so many athletes, has run a personal best in every event this season. There you see our start line. We see Lee starting in lane 3, Brown in lane 4, unfortunately 5 is a scratch, Reynolds Young in lane 6, Hayes in 7, Jeffords in 8, and then wearing hip number 10 is going to be Taylor Combs, it looks like has been moved, Aiden Adams, Zachariah Ostrander in 13, Gabe Allen, Asher Alvey, talked a lot about that name, Walker Elred, and then Brock Willem of Tennessee is going to round out your field. I apologize, that is Guillemondegi wearing hip number 10. That's Gabe Guillemondegi. He's had a great career as well here in Tennessee, and a big field off to a very solid start in our boys high school 3,200 meter. Again, the times to look for courtesy of the Battle of the Jacks, Bertram and Bowen up front wearing hips 1 and 2.
Well, and you better believe they know where the other one is going. As you said, the Notre Dame commit, and then Jack Bowen is going to UNC, so they'll be seeing each other in the ACC, kind of like some of those earlier races on the girls' side where maybe it's the beginning of a little bit of a rivalry. These guys don't forget when they race each other, even as they move to the collegiate ranks. But look at our top two already out in front. I do think we'll probably settle in a little bit as the front three, following our pacemaker out in front. They've got speed as well. Bowen's a 4:05 guy at his best over a full mile. So I think they are ready to push this pace. They've run at the state championships. They run at Arcadia. They know what it's like, and this is a really good field.
Unfortunately, no pacer for this field, but Jack Bertram happy to take those duties on. He's one of the taller racers up front, and as you mentioned, You know, those Philadelphia guys, they know how to get the job done. He's headed to Notre Dame. He's a fighter already, and he has strung things out incredibly early in this race. These guys already have their state meets over with. They may have some of these New Balance Nationals or Nike Nationals coming up later in the season, but there's really nothing to lose at this point. Let's go out there, let's run hard, let's take advantage of a beautiful evening. The wind has died, the sun is out, but it's low, and you know that you have some of the strongest racers in the country in, again, what for many of these guys is their last race of their high school career. So we see a 4-man separation up front. That is going to be Bertram, Lee, Bowen, and Brown. So it is those 4 with a huge amount of distance back to the rest of the pack. They're coming up on 800 meters here in 2:12 through that mark, and this is really swift running. That was a 66-second lap for Bertram, who continues to lead the charge.
Well, the meet record could be under watch here. 8:54.02 from Jackson Braddock out of New Jersey back in 2020. So that's certainly, it would be quick. It would be quick, but there's multiple men who have gone sub-9 and maybe a few more who could do it on the day. But I think you made a great point, Kate. There's really nothing to lose, and I think that's part of the beauty of this meet for these high schoolers is it kind of has a championship feel, but almost without the championship pressure. And so whether you are moving on to New Balance Nationals or other meets kind of further in the postseason, great. Worry about those. That's a championship. You know, you've got different goals and aspirations there. You're done with your state meet. But even if you're not, this is something that you're getting the best competition. So it's almost a low-pressure, high-pressure situation, I guess you could say. But there really is nothing to lose. And I think these guys realize that, and they're pushing out hard. 65 first lap, 66 second lap. Doesn't look like they're slowing down now.
Good job, good job.
Nathan Lee is a guy there that I had as maybe a dark horse or a slight underdog that could contest for the win. He's run 8:57 for the full 2 mile, only 9:10 over 3,200, but that 8:57 2 mile he ran indoors at the New Balance Nationals tells me he is ready for something very quick here. He's also a fast miler, 4:08 over the full mile for Lee, qualified for Foot Locker cross country in the fall as well, and he looks really smooth out in front.
Well, smooth indeed as Lee continues to lead those battles of the jack behind him, and he just is cruising around here, making easy work of this pace. As you mentioned, this is where a number of these athletes can kind of find their form, find their confidence. They're swinging into full gear now at this point in the season. We're just approaching early June, and Nathan Lee looking composed, controlled, and I think maybe surprising a little bit the guys behind him. He has moved a group of 4 into 3. He's whittled that pack down, and they've been running really fast times. So they've been turning over really quickly. That was a 67-second lap. They've been running 66s for quite a while, but look at the gap back now on the rest of the field. And Nathan Lee continuing to string things out up front, holding the jacks to contention as he got a little bit of a bump there, and you just wonder if this is going to be a big move now. This is going to be Jack Bowen swinging wide, and now he's happy to take on the pace-setting duties, and I'm sure Nathan will be happy about that.
Bowen's got a little speed, 153 over 800 meters. He was second in the state championships in that event, second in the 1600 as well, and second in the 3200. So a trio of silver medals for him at the state level. He'd love to pick up a win here.
So again, we're into the heart of this race, and it continues to be Jack Bowen out of Tennessee leading things out. Nathan Lee splitting the jacks. Bertram pulling up the 3rd place position as they cross that start-finish line yet again. And now into no man's land in 4th is Andrew Brown. That's a tough spot to be, running all by himself. But those 3 up front, they'll work hard together. They've contested each other throughout the season. They'll know what it takes to run hard against each other. They'll have experimented with each other's strengths and weaknesses. But again, this is sort of one of the last opportunities to do that before you get into that true championship version of the season. And you can see that all three of them just playing cat and mouse with each other and taking advantage of a beautiful night.
Andrew Brown there in fourth, as you said, just a 10th grader, kind of is in no man's land, representing Run Free, and he's kind of doing that right now. He's been knocking on the door of 9 minutes, ran 9:03:35 at Arcadia. State champ in cross country as well, but the story is all about the three men out in front. They slowed a little on the previous lap. The 72nd lap, they've picked it up a little bit now again here, running 68 mid.
Well, and those three continuing to work hard together. And again, we should keep in mind that the meet record here is 8:54:02. That goes back to 2020. But the fastest time of the bunch belonging to Jack Bertram with that 8:50:44 2-mile as a good conversion. And now Nathan Lee back into the lead, 600 meters to go. And this is where you have to make a move if you are going to assert yourself at the front of the pack and know that you don't necessarily have the wheels to turn over with the rest of the competitors. So it's a two-man race now. This is Lee. What a strong run by him. He's continuing to lead Jack Bertram, and it appears as though Bowen has fallen off the back, although as I say that, making a move back up into the pack. They're going to hit the bell here at 7:53 on the clock.
Well, that's the word, is strong for Nathan Lee. As we said, he ran that 8:57 2-mile at New Balance Indoor Nationals, but he also has a 14:35K PR, so he is not afraid of these longer distances. And it's a two-man battle here with 300 meters to go. We talked about Jack Bertram. We talked about Jack Bowen, who's fallen off the back now. But Nathan Lee coming down from Connecticut, Jack Bertram out of Pennsylvania, 200 meters to go. This could go either way.
Well, Lee has done all of that work up front. He's been leading out Jack just behind him, never shaking him though. Lee versus Bertram. Lee going to the arms. You can see the grimace on his face. Bertram not letting him go, but it is going to be Lee into the home stretch with the advantage. Lee has fought so hard for this win. He's extending his lead over Bertram. Bertram is defeated. It's going to be Nathan Lee of Connecticut. Came in fourth ranked. He is going to come across the line with top marks with a new MCTC record, 8:52:67. Brilliant performance, very strong running, and he's rewarded with a meet record.
And a 60-second last lap. Nathan Lee was out in front. We thought he may have been the hunted for just a little bit too long. Jack Bertram, no slouch there in second, 8:54:12. I mean, these are some of the quickest times that we've seen, and certainly the quickest time with that meet record. But Nathan Lee, a big smile, and he certainly deserves that. He did all the work, and he held on, and he showed us a little bit of speed as well there, Kate.
Well, that's a lot of speed, I would say, to be able to close in a 60-second final lap. And 60 seconds flat, we should say. So to be able to lead a race that far into it and then close in a 60-second final lap bodes very well for this young man, and he knows it. Smiles all around for our winner, Nathan Lee, 8:52:67, a new meet record. Jack Bertram across the line in second, a very swift 8:54:12, closed in 1:01:27. And then, as we mentioned, the Battle of the Jacks, Bowen crosses the line for third, just outside that 9-minute barrier, 9:01:02, with a 66:55 close.
Well, we lined it up. We didn't know where it was going to end up. Our top four started early. It was down to 3, and then it was down to 2. Nathan Lee continued to lead. Jack Bertram seemed like he may have another gear as he came in with the fastest seed time, having run that at Arcadia earlier this year. But Nathan Lee was just too strong. Look at the arms pumping. He tapped into that speed reserve and gave us a 60-second final lap. Are you kidding me? Nathan Lee, representing for Connecticut down here in Tennessee. He takes the victory. He takes the meet record.
So final results again, Nathan Lee 8:52.67. Jack Bertram comes away in second, 8:54.12, 9:01.02 for Bowen. Andrew Brown 9:12.65, and rounding out your top five, Reynolds Young 9:13.22. But it was all this young man, Nathan Lee, going to the arms and coming away with a stellar victory here in that Invitational Boys